What is going on, everybody? Good morning. Great morning. What a joy and pleasure to be here. Bitcoin, $57,000. We're going. The bull of all bulls getting ready to run, looking like it's getting close into price discovery. It's got the markets back, the current of the markets with it today. We're seeing Nasdaq futures up pretty handsomely. We're seeing the S&P breaking out of the bull flag. We're seeing the DXY off, yields off today. We are seeing the bull getting ready to run over here, and it's a beautiful sight. It's a beautiful sight. It's beautiful to be here with all of you. Really looking forward to today's episode. Now, the last few have been absolute fire. I've enjoyed each and every one of them, as I enjoy the time spent with each and every day. Now, there's a lot that's covered each and every day. And not everyone has the ability to invest their time where they could watch each and every episode. I'm going to try to uncover some important aspects today that I don't get to cover every episode. I want to make sure that those that have been watching for a year and more continue to be up to speed. I want to be sure those that are watching for 3 months and more continue to be completely up to speed. And I want to make sure that those that are just joining us today, by the way, welcome. If you're new here, welcome. And if you're not, welcome back. Smash that like button. Get us going here this morning. I want to make sure that whenever you are finding us and discovering our community, that one way or another, you're able to plug in and then get up to speed so that you can enjoy the ride with us. And today we're surfing waves. We're riding that Bitcoin wave, and it's beautiful. All right, so what are we looking at today? This is funny. We're going to start off with a little bit of fun. I wouldn't have posted this, but since Lynn did, I guess why not? And it's funny if you follow what's going on over here at Conquering the Markets, right? You have the market looking over at Bitcoin, and Copper's like, what? What about my 90% since the Fed low? But we've been all over that, and again, ahead of everyone. And that's what we do here, right? So if you could appreciate that because you're following the channel here, go ahead and smash that like button as we get started. We're going to start off with a couple of headlines before we start looking at price. Jordan, focus on the technicals. I love it. Can you imagine the noise? People get lost in the noise and they don't even realize it's almost like an open book we got going on over here. It's beautiful. Here's just some headlines, right? By the way, this is important. 20 million Americans still getting government job loss benefits. Why is that important? Do you remember going back all the way to last April 2020? I said, look, this is the signal that we are focused in on. Right now, we have super easy monetary policy. The Federal Reserve and all central banks are continuing to unleash a massive amount of expansion of their balance sheets. That is going to continue. That was signal. What was number two? Governments are going to have to start with continued massive stimulus. Here we are right now, $1.9 trillion of additional stimulus coming off the back of $900 billion shortly in December. And now we have the president talking about boom, 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 boom. The next phase of the COVID response will be released today on Thursday. And they're talking about trillions of dollars more. They're talking about trillions of dollars of printed money to wipe out cancer. So, wow, whatever. We'll see what the president has to say about that. But that is signal. We got much more signal coming over there. Yeah. No, I don't, John, I'm expressing my thoughts right now about what the signal is. We're going to keep going over there, and that we have massive amount of more printing taking place over here because now they think they could print and print for free. This was some news over here that's important coming out of the ECB. They are looking to accelerate bond purchases. They came out with some surprise purchases. It sent the dollar off over there. Listen, this is also signal. We've been pretty on signal about it, on point about it. That rates are rising because of inflation, but the central banks are going to have to step in and prevent that. Now, Powell last week signaled, we're going to let it go right into the resistance, which was very smart in my opinion. They are masterful game players, these central banksters. And over here we see the ECB making sure that yields don't get too out of control. And they are saying this is for years the ECB was just stuck in a deflationary trap. And now they're saying that they are seeing inflation accelerating faster than they anticipated. That's what we're looking at going forward over here, folks. That's just the headlines. They're not worth reading. That's just the headlines. They're not worth reading, but it's kind of important that you stay like in step with what's going on in the macro. And then you all know, as you saw last week, last Thursday and Friday, when it's important to talk about, we'll dial in and we'll be able to take some what could be complicated stuff and make it so that we could easily understand it. Going back, do you remember? It was back over here. I saw a headline. I already deleted it, so I'm not going to bother with it. It said something like the psychology of the Nasdaq pullback or something. The psychology of the Nasdaq pullback. How about this one? Conquering the markets all day long. February the 17th. Listen, we may have a correction in the equity markets. S&P, Nasdaq. It may come down to over here, right? And it may be caused by rising yields. Then a week or two later, all over the headlines, rising yields are causing the stock markets to correct over here. And remember the psychology of a pullback. Do you remember that over here we stayed on signal? What was that signal? In my opinion, it's only a question of when new all-time highs will be, not if, coming out of this. Here we are right now. We see the Nasdaq breaking out of here, breaking out of the trend line, resuming out, right? Still needs to be, see if it's confirmed and whatnot, but you could see into the resistance, that trend line resistance, price already pulled back into the support, confirmed that support, and is resuming off that. That's kind of like the trade that has no name coming off a trend line break instead of a horizontal break. But you can see the move into the resistance, the retest of the support, confirm that support and breakout. It looks healthy. It really does look healthy. Over here on the S&P 500, our bull flag, you can see the breakout of the bull flag, the retest on this bar right over here, and then the resumption off. I mean, it's conquering the markets all day long. Why Market Watch does not have our live stream as like, you should just go to Market Watch and all they should have is just our live stream. But that's fine. We're here together, and that's what makes it so beautiful and so nice. We have the DXY over here, under pressure over here as yields are falling a little bit over here. Yields backing off a little bit. I'm not reading into it yet. By the way, if we lose this support over here at 144, then maybe we're seeing a bigger correction. Right now, we're just consolidating underneath resistance. This could go either way still, and I'm still watching it to go either way. By the way, talk about importance over here. Let me find her. Lynn over here recently, well, I had Lynn up earlier, right? Lynn was talking about last week, I'm so sorry, before the CPI print, Lynn was talking about, look, this month's CPI print may not yet show the effects of inflation. Sure enough, it did not. She's signaling that going forward, we may see high CPI prints. That could bring rising yields right back into the story really quick. So it's an ongoing fluid situation, and we're going to continue to flow like water to make sure that we're on top of it, just trying to paint that picture. So as something happens, it's going to become more familiar to you today. So boom, 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 boom. Here we are, the DXY coming back below this trend line over here. This now sets off back the bullish structure of the trade over here. Coming on the daily time frame, you can see that, remember this 92.50? We said if we break above this trend line, we still need to confirm the break by trading above it. Never happened, rejected, and now trading below the trend line. This is now setting off, I would say, more of a bearish bias to the dollar over here as we continue. I'm trying to get an auto chart. As we continue over here from our last signal, massive downtrend, right? Wow. With what? I wish I had an adjective to describe how well we've stayed on the right side of this trade. This trade has given most quote unquote traditional macro guys the most trouble, and we've just been all over it. It's what we do, and we talk about how we do it each and every day. We have Bitcoin flying over here, getting close to price discovery. Just want to pull up an area of interest over here on the Bitcoin halving chart. By the way, if you want to follow this chart, if you like the flow today, go ahead and smash the like button, get me amped up over here. We got an exciting day, including our training session getting 10:30 a.m. Eastern time today. So let's keep going over here. What's the intro music called? It's absolutely, it's epic. It's called Honeymoon Instrumental. You can find it over on YouTube or Artist.io where I subscribe. This is Halving Tracker. This is effortless, seemingly effortless, right? Beautiful. I like it. Over here, we've looked at this last week on the live streams. I understand maybe for some people it's not possible to make that commitment of an hour or so or a day to watch what we do here. And those that do, and it's many of you, you understand. But I just want to cover this over here. We were looking at last week as we were pulling back, and I said, this is interesting to me. We're pulling back before the first cycle and before the second cycle. I don't know why that's happening. It's weird to me. That's the adjective, that's the description I used, weird. I said it's weird to me. I don't understand why it's happening, but it's happening. And also in the first and second cycle, we had coming out of that drawdown, we had like a bit of a capitulation, a sharp V, right? Here's that sharp V, and it occurred over here, and it occurred over here. And then I said, well, all I know is that even though it's weird, we're getting that pullback prior to the first two cycles. I expected it to happen after the first cycle, before the second cycle. Here we are. We didn't have that capitulation end. It is a V, right? It's not a quick V like over here. And Gene over in Discord last night attributed that to the fact that maybe the market's maturing, that people are able to play less games because people are playing games. Everyone's trying to manipulate the market in their favor, no question about that. And perhaps we're not seeing those type of shakeouts that we saw in the second cycle where we would see like large capitulation really quick and then a sharp move up. We're not seeing that. It's just observations, but it's important to reiterate because some people right now, maybe rightfully so, might be looking for a pullback, knowing that on the first and second cycle around this time we had one. I think it occurred right here. This is consistent with what I was looking at and saying last week. Just want to continue to point that out over there. Patrick, thanks for all your work. GPT is still a good option. Listen, there's a lot to talk about on GBTC and BlockFi this morning. Thank you, Alan. Thank you so much. Because, I mean, Alan, it doesn't matter if it's appreciated, overappreciated, underappreciated. For me, it's just so important to be on the track with what's going on in the dollar. And I've been very clear that regardless of what King Dollar does, even if it starts strengthening, it's not going to derail Bitcoin at this point of its bull market cycle, right? But if the dollar's trading off and weak, so much so that you see gold and silver start making their break, Bitcoin's going to be flying, right? GBTC, you see the premium going negative. Now, I know Alan AU on Twitter has a lot more coverage on threads of GBTC of what the negative premium means. He was saying something about Bloomberg, something about this might, if past behavior repeats itself, we might be looking in March $100,000 Bitcoin because of it. I don't know. If you want to know, follow Alan on Twitter, go to his profile and start looking for that thread, or if it could be pasted here, or maybe in tomorrow's show, I could bring it up for you. In my personal opinion, I am still invested into GBTC and will continue to be so. Now, there are other ETFs being launched. Another one was launched yesterday in Canada. We're seeing right now GBTC, Grayscale, putting out some job opportunities for trying to perhaps change their business model and turn it into an ETF. That could be exciting. I have no idea. I know that I'm holding, and I will hold through the duration of the bull market. And hopefully, at that point, the demand and speculation and euphoria is rampant, and the premium back then is skyrocketing. We'll see if I get lucky or not, but either which way, I think that I'm looking at a significantly higher share price of GBTC at the peak of the bull market than I am today, which is significantly higher than when I first accumulated in. I'm still riding that train, and beautiful. Keith, good morning from Miami. Bought the course last week, going through the videos, and will be joining soon. Could we play back the 10:30 CTM live streams? Keith, absolutely. The link that you're going to receive by email, the link that is going to be shared in the announcements channel of Discord at the time of the event goes live is the same link you could use to watch the replay. Watch this video no matter what, because it's going to show you exactly how you could go through all the material in order to achieve what other people are achieving and have achieved. This is like getting started with conquering the markets in order to thrive 101. Like you have to watch this video. It will be available for you to watch in your own time, as they all are. And it's beautiful as we're making progress now, helping people be able to navigate conquering the markets training program even better. I mean, the program, in my opinion, going back a year ago was phenomenal. It was amazing. You were working directly with me and the information up. Today, it's like, wow, it's beautiful. Where are we? I want to talk about BlockFi while I'm going on this rant over here. I'm watching Bitcoin right now, mostly on the 8-hour and on the 3-day time frame. You can see here on the 8-hour. By the way, if you're just looking at price, you can see that little bit of a pullback into that trend line over there, resuming off, coming right towards price discovery. Markets are definitely bid today, looking healthy. Could anything derail that? As the president gets ready to announce further stimulus, or they call it stimulus, we should call it further robbing of the future of our children. As the president gets to announce the further destruction of our children's future today, what are the markets going to do? Are yields going to rise later on that? We'll figure that out. We'll watch it. We'll see. All right. Boom, 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 boom. So I saw a video. I'm not ready to talk about it because I want to finish it more. It was my buddy Raul on What Bitcoin Did podcast, and he's talking about a lot of things. He's talking about like during this bull market phase, the price of Bitcoin going somewhere between 200,000 and 2 million. Wow, talk about a window. He's talking about things like the Coinbase IPO derailing institutional investment into Bitcoin. I don't know. There's a lot of, I'll just call it nonsense being said are out there, but I want to go through it. I want to find out what is important for us to talk about, what's not. I'm sure there's some good insight being shared in there. I'm going to find it if there is, be able to look at it with you. I'm also looking at the 3-day time frame on Bitcoin. The reason I did that, and I shared that tweet with you as we broke outside of this trend line over here, resuming out of the consolidation, because at that point it's time to raise your time preference. Stop looking at Bitcoin on a short time frame. Notice that when Bitcoin is pulling back, that I'm on the 2-hour time frame and I'm over here with precision watching what's going on over you to walk everyone and myself through it as it occurs. And then as Bitcoin makes the break, I come over to the 3-day, hiring my time preference, let's say diminishing the possibility of me getting shooken out of my trade, allowing it to do its thing over here. Let's see if we make the jump into hyperspace. Let's see if we do print a new all-time high on Bitcoin in the next 48 hours or so. That would be beautiful. That would be beautiful. As we get close to my exit, I'll be talking about things like that. Right now, if I had to put a figure on it, it's 5 to 7%. The odds of us having any type of hyper Bitcoinization, it's actually much less than that. I think I'm generous in saying that. I will hold on to that much percentage of Bitcoin. Or anyway, I'm not going to talk about that now. I'll talk about that as we get to it. What I want to talk about is what I see a lot of FUD being spread about BlockFi. BlockFi had new signups down for about 48 hours. If you follow BlockFi on Twitter, they're really, they're always updating what's going on. And as long as you're dealing with a company who is that customer service friendly, you got to feel good. That's important. A lot of people, a lot of DeFi projects are putting out sites out there kind of attacking BlockFi. And at the same time, marketing their DeFi services, which are competitors. I have faith and trust in BlockFi. I like dead up. I really do. I'm much more so than my traditional bank, knowing that it's not backed by the FDIC. Well, when I say it's not backed by the FDIC, if the FDIC was ever needed, the FDIC is insolvent. There's no question about that. There's no way it could backstop the banking system. It's a fractional reserve banking system. It's utterly impossible. You would understand that if you lived through the 2008 crisis, as I did, and back then understood the FDIC was insolvent. There were headlines all the time that the FDIC was insolvent, right? So either which way, BlockFi, right? The question is, do you trust any other exchange as much as you do BlockFi? I do. They are the ones that are collecting collateral, right? Now, Coinbase, Gemini, Binance also seem like worth the third-party risk, in my opinion. They do. Like I would feel comfortable holding any type of collateral with these exchanges using best practices, so on and so forth. But I have more faith in BlockFi. Dan Held, by the way, he talks about, listen, when you lend your coins to BlockFi, etc., you do have to trust they've evaluated counterparty risk properly, which includes the people that they're lending the money to, the collateral requirements, right? The trading strategy they're using. He also goes on to note, I think it's right over here. He also goes on to note, by the way, back in March, when we saw that insane volatility, we saw the price of Bitcoin come off 60% in days. Look, deposits and withdrawals all processed normally, 1 to 2 business days. This is on BlockFi. They had 0 losses in their lending book, and all the products had near 100% uptime. I feel really comfortable with them. I know there's a lot of FUD out there. You got to get used to FUD, by the way, when it comes to the bull market phase, because whatever it is, it's all been like water off a duck's back over here. Whether it was the Tether FUD, I don't even know. I can't even keep up because it's all noise to me, right? If there's anything that presents a risk to Bitcoin, the financial system, I'm going to be dialed in with laser eyes watching what's important over here. And I don't think this is right now. Could it eventually know your risks? You have third-party risk. Understand that. So what else? There was something else I wanted to see over here, by the way. Boom, is GBTC a good buy and hold? Look, we talked about that a little bit earlier. Look, Lynn Alden, I retweeted this over here. I asked for the link yesterday on Twitter. She put up what her thoughts were on BlockFi. I read it. It's kind of dry. It's not really interesting. There are 4 points over here or 5 points over there that are worthwhile. They're highlighted over here, right? So you could just like search the word first many or second in order to find this section. This is the section worth talking about. One of the things that she noted in the beginning was that they're not FDIC insured. I mean, that's kind of ridiculous, but whatever. Here we go. Look, this is pretty important over here or leading up into it. Jordan, I've been watching your videos when you had 12,000 subscribers. I was talking to one of my closest friends of the life last Friday, and he was talking about, man, I remember when you had 2,000 subscribers, 30, 40 people there every day, and how committed you were to each and every one of them. And that's the truth. I've seen your channel growing organically. It's been awesome, right? I posted a question, blah, blah, blah. I have been semi-interested in getting into altcoins, a lot of information. Jordan, like, please let me know how I can pay you for your time, even if it's through email, since I'm sure you're busy. It's not possible. Like, blessings and love, listening to you every morning. Big shout out and much love right back to you. Much love right back to you for like from the heart. But it's not possible to buy my time like that. It's just simply, it's not possible. Now, I do offer the training program where I work intimately with the community, right? And it costs next to nothing, by the way, right? So we have a training session today. This is the response. You will receive a link as it's created and we go live, which will work as the replay if you can't be there. Also be alerted in the session inside this Discord on the announcement channel. Tomorrow's session is titled How to Thrive in Conquering the Markets, Getting Started, Best Practices. You want to see this one. All right, what else is there? By the way, this really touched my heart yesterday before I get into the charts. Jordan, focus on the technicals. Why, is there someone more dialed in than myself? Jordan, blessings and love, brother. Blessings and love. This one really touched my heart. I want to share it with you. It says, look, Jordan, I'm trading about 3 months now on the, not this one. This one's important. Jordan, on the morning session today, you mentioned what you've been doing will change people's lives. What I would like to add is I don't think you're aware of the scale of which you are doing that. I can only speak for myself, but the guidance you have given me has already transformed what we can do as a family. My children's education and our life experiences will be massively different. Can you imagine how important this is to me? But more than that, it's coming. When the Bitcoin bull market is over and we're out, then what will we be able to do to help others is mind-blowing. What the Conquering the Markets group over here, what all of you together are going to be able to accomplish to help this world is absolutely mind-blowing. I can't wait to show you. It's what's motivating me more than anything. Me too. That's why I'm here with you right now. Buying stuff can be fun. If you want true joy, though, help someone else who needs it. You have enabled that with me and my family, and I will be forever grateful. This right here is what Conquering the Markets is all about, and I'm entirely grateful for it right now. So listen, and this is important. I want to talk about this, whether you've been here right now for a year or today's your first day, right? Let's talk about how we can continue to do what we need to change lives, which starts with your own. Rich is talking about he's now in a position where his children's education is different forever. If you could, I could understand that myself. So if you could understand that, that's heartwarming right there, right? So listen, if you today are buying a fraction of a Bitcoin and getting yourself positioned in the most important trade matters, understanding the 4-year cycle right now, you are way ahead of the game. Now listen, there are different objectives that I think that you personally should be looking to achieve, right? Number one, that's like subscribing to the channel so that you can continue to get fed what you need to fed to look at life and the markets in the way that you need to look at them in order to be successful. That's essential, right? Number two, you got to smash the like button. Number three, right? You have to get involved in the trade that matters. There's no question about that. You have to figure out a way, and it takes time and practice to get rid of all the noise and be dialed in with those laser eyes as I am. And I say to you, I know the laser eyes is only for $100,000 Bitcoin. I don't think so. For me, it's the whole way through to the exit. You have to be that dialed in. You have to be that focused. Now, there are a couple of things that people are going to achieve this cycle. And there are some people that, as I talk about them, maybe it'll be the next 4 years from now that you're achieving those goals. 4 years is going to pass in the blink of an eye. Whether you take the necessary steps today in order to be achieving what you would like to achieve 4 years from now or not, that's up to you. But either which way, those 4 years are coming, and they're coming quickly, right? So look, there's a couple of different things. I think the first goal of everyone should be financially to get comfortable. Now, I'm not talking about like this is what I'm talking about. To get comfortable. What's comfortable? Comfortable, the way that I'm defining it here, is a liquid net worth $1 to $2 million. No matter what's going on, you're comfortable, right? Comfortable. You can pay your bills, you're able to do whatever you need to do, and you could do it all relatively comfortable. Now, you're not rich or even close to it, right? What do we define rich as? Rich is the second stepping stone. It's something that you want to achieve. If you're the reason I got into the markets, number one, was because it was the most challenging thing I could do, right? Compete in the arena of global finance against the brightest minds in the world, figuring out the markets. It's what attracted me to them. The second was financial freedom and all the freedom that affords. Those were my goals, right? Number two, rich. What is rich? Rich today, $5 million or more. You're rich. You're good. You're comfortable. Right? Do I think that people that are taking steps this bull cycle are going to achieve that? Yep, for sure. No question about it. And that's a good and a great place to be. What's beyond that? Then you're talking like, all right, whatever. Whether you're talking about ultra wealthy, 50 million or above, or whether or not you're trying to do something like this, and don't sleep on it to think that any people here are not going to be able to do that. But there's things like, let's call it Bitcoin wealthy, right? What's Bitcoin wealthy? What, $1,000 Bitcoin? $500 Bitcoin? I don't know. Whatever you want to call it. Could things like that be met by people following this channel? You'd be surprised. You would be surprised. By the way, one of the biggest one of the biggest Bitcoin grabs ever, those that launch altcoins are doing it because they want to get what? More Bitcoin. All right. Where does that bring us? Where does that, trying to set the perspective? No. Well, Warrior, look, this is how I'm defining it, and I don't agree with you. $5 million is rich. All right, there you go. Anyway, by the way, higher education is expensive. Private education is expensive. Healthcare is expensive. You have no idea, and you have no idea what it's going to be. You have no idea what it's. Anyway, let's keep going. Let's keep going over here, and let's keep flowing as we're looking at Bitcoin just under the $57,000 lock. $57,000 level. There's more that I want to share with you. So I'm going to find out what it is so we can get into it together right now. By the way, this is Signal right here. We're looking at Bitcoin with $1 trillion market cap. Now, I don't know because I can't predict the future. I can't predict the future. But, as we get close to the end of this month, I'm going to be talking just a couple of weeks, a few weeks. Where is Bitcoin going to be if we are able to break out over here into price discovery and add that next leg up, right? Where are we looking at? Is it fair to say, or if that happens and we're looking at like $70,000, $75,000 Bitcoin, and we say that's the bear market low, is it fair to say that Bitcoin will never trade under $50,000 again? Bitcoin will never trade under $1 trillion market again? I think so. I genuinely think that looks like the probable course for what's taking place right now. That right there is signal as you're looking at Bitcoin trading at $57,000 again. After breaking above here, right, you could see a couple of things. You could see a sharp move, or you could see price come up, come back in, taking out that low of the all-time high, not by much, coming back down a little bit, and then making that move up. After that, I don't think we see these prices ever again. Whatever you're doing today, right? If today's the day that you buy a fraction of a Bitcoin, understanding that probably you're looking at a cheaper price level than you will see in the bear market low, right? And even if you could buy a fraction of a Bitcoin, you could buy $100 worth of Bitcoin. You could buy $1,000 worth of Bitcoin. Jordan, if I had $1,000, what do I do? Do I put that into Ethereum? Do I put that into Aave? Do I put it into Link? What do I do with it? Right? Look, it's up to you. I go with the highest possible potential in return with the least amount of risk for myself, as clear as day. That continues to be Bitcoin from where we are right now. Nope. Danny, The guy every once in a while comes out when he's not talking about Bitcoin with a really good tweet. His son, what? No, Peter, no. Oh, this is really important to talk about. The question came up. I think I could find it right over here. The question came up over here. Boom, 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 boom. So this is just not what I'm talking about, but man, if you don't see the inflation, and I remember having like with these people who consider themselves like real vision macro experts, the guy with the hat, this other guy, Travis, about deflation and QE, and come on. I mean, it was as clear as day as it was occurring, right? If you live in the world and you understand what your housing costs are, if you understand what your healthcare costs, if you understand what your kids' education costs, if you do your own shopping, and I do the shopping, I know and I see the continued rise of prices as well as the smaller packaging. I mean, anyway, so what I do want to show you is this over here, or share with you over here. Look, what are your thoughts on this? It might not be a great asset to jump into post-bull market. Jordan, I know you're interested in the shiny gold stuff, that you're quite the gold bug. Before I go back to that, let's take a look at gold today. 1724. Gold, by the way, is just coming into this area of resistance I was looking at this morning. Do you see that? Do you see the breakdown? And now the retest of that resistance. It's a big deal for gold, right? If it's rejected and we come back and take out these swing lows, oof, more pain ahead, no question about that. If we are able to retake the horizontal resistance and trendline resistance coming into the same place right over here, right around, let's call it 1745, and regain back into this pattern over here, is that bullish for gold? Well, it's let's call it more bullish and neutral still. We're still waiting for a breakout to the upside of the resistance over there, for watching gold being able to go on and put up some new legs up, and even possibly taking out the 2020 all-time high. Right now it's coming into resistance. Do not bite, do not chase. It's still looking very, very bearish. Silver not as much. Silver into now the 2630 resistance. It's amazing how these levels work. It held my 25 support. It never broke down. If it breaks below 2430, we're in trouble area over here, right? But listen, do you buy right over here? No. Wait for it to break above 2630. It's the same thing I said last week. Above 2630, and if you want to take a chance, that's the opportunity there. Good morning, Jordan. Thank you for everything as always. God bless you. And my question, what's your opinion of those who will earn $2 million this bull run? What is the typical initial investment? Depends on what you got in and how you're doing it. That's not how it works. And by the way, I look at price with you, and I'm able to stay on the right side of the trade, manage our risk accordingly, super dialed into what's happening. But how you skin the cat, that's entirely up to you. I'm not recommending to you exchanges or how you should do it. It depends on so many different factors, and you should be doing it so many different ways, right? So could you have achieved that goal already if you had started with a small amount of money, like a half a Bitcoin back in March or April? Yep, you're already there, just for a little bit of perspective and ahead. But if you had started over here with like a half a Bitcoin in this area, is it possible to have already turned that into the numbers you're putting out there? 2 million? Yep, it's possible, But enough said on that. That's not what I want to get into. What I want to get into is this over here. Look, gold status as an inflation head is somewhat exaggerated, says BlackRock. First of all, anything BlackRock says, there's an ulterior motive. Never pay attention to them. Number one, right? My response, look, it makes sense that BlackRock would knock gold as they launch a Bitcoin product. There's a lot more to gold than an inflation hedge. Gold will shine again. This is Bitcoin's time, and no one's been clearer about that than myself. And we're way ahead of BlackRock on that. BlackRock right now in the middle of the bull market is like, oh, Bitcoin. Are you kidding? We saw it coming. I'm not going to listen to you now as you try to empty your bags and make room for your new product. Ali's response, I didn't get to see it yet. My thoughts were that if it's an option for sitting on the bear market, you don't want it in something that could lose a chunk of value over that phase. Interesting thought on being gold fund. Yeah, I don't think so. You'll know what I'm doing as I do it. I'll tell you that. But I think that gold is look, as soon as yields As soon as those yields are capped, gold's going to fly. And if yields raise enough to where the central banks have no choice but to cap those yields, they're going to do it. And when that happens, gold's going to fly. Gold, if it's already off 25%, what is it off? 15%, 20% from its all-time high? In my opinion, that's a good place to step in. I'm just more interested in Bitcoin right now. As you know, I've been very clear about the trajectory of this trade over here. Gold Bitcoin is down and probably one of the easiest trades you can make. However, at the peak of the Bitcoin bull cycle, that's going to change, and that's going to change drastically. Of course, it's a question of you want to be in dollars or gold at that particular time. And I've also been very clear, it's too far in the future to know. It's too far in the 7 months right now. In the future, in this type of environment, is way too far. Planning ahead, but making sure what you're planning ahead into. What else is there to talk about? Russia, China continue their methodical purchase of gold month over month, year over year, accumulating the shiny stuff, right? Why? Listen, they understand this system is coming to its end. The US dollar as the world reserve currency. Now, how long that lasts, that's another story. But if I remember having conversations in early 2018 about de-dollarization taking place, and people get all triggered. Oh, that's not happening. What do you don't understand? If you don't understand that now, you're way behind the game. You're just out of the game. Get away from the markets. They're not for you. They're really not for you. You're competing against gladiators. You don't have what it takes. All right. So listen, whoever holds the gold, they get a seat at the table. JP Morgan himself is the one that says gold is money. Everything else is just liability, except for Bitcoin. Bitcoin wasn't invented. Is Bitcoin a superior form of money than gold? Absolutely. No question about that. Will Bitcoin be entering a bear market? Absolutely. No question about that. When it does, do I want to hold Bitcoin or no? I don't. Oh, but Jordan, Michael Saylor said that you should hold your Bitcoin and you should take out loans against it. Oh, that's a good lead in over here. What do we got over here? Jordan, would be great if you did a video on discuss strategies to pay off crypto loan at the right time. Obviously not financial advice, to maximize the loan and to avoid any liquidation. 100% Steve, we will do that. That might be next week's training session for Conquering the Markets or included in it. Why? Because I'm planning that out myself, and you know, I would love to be able to share my thoughts and opinions on that, and hopefully they help yours, right? But whatever. So do you not want to? Do you need to hold your look? You should have multiple strategies and be executing on multiple different platforms. It's the only way to do it. It's the only. We discussed those things in exiting Bitcoin. We discussed the different strategies. Are you, Michael Saylor, holding on to an enormous chunk of Bitcoin and it doesn't matter? And if you needed cash, which he doesn't, able to lend that without giving up your Bitcoin? Of course. Anyway, different thoughts for different folks. Thank you, Gene. I saw that comment. Thank you, Danny. Thank you so much, by the way. Yeah, it's, you know, Gene, we just got some pretty sharp people in this game working together. That's what we do here, putting it all together each and every day, taking the lessons that the market shows us. Do you understand that we are all students of the market? Whatever the market is showing us on a given day, that's what we're paying attention to. And that's why as the days and weeks and months go by, we're just more and more and more on point because we're always prepared for whatever is happening. It's what we do. It's how you conquer the markets all day long. Jordan, should you be proud of the excellent community you've assembled? Keep up the great work. Stay healthy and positive. You have what it takes. It's an honor and a privilege to be here with all of you. It really is each and every day. And each and every day before I go live, I make sure I put in the preparation so we can do what we need to do. And each day before I go live, I just get on my knees and I'm like, please, Lord, may they hear you and know you. And that's all I could do is try to be the best instrument I could do to be able to achieve what we want to achieve. If you're not holding Bitcoin, aren't you selling it? Kimberly, yeah, I don't know what context that was sold in. If you're talking about BlockFi, you have two options. If you're exiting the Bitcoin bull market, right, you have two options. What do? Do you sell all your Bitcoin, exiting into a stable coin? From there, you could, maneuver into whatever you want to maneuver into. Or are you holding on to that Bitcoin and taking out a loan? By the way, loan, on 50% of your Bitcoin, I'm expecting, an 80-85% drawdown. If you take out a loan at the top of the bill market, you have to have the collateral or in order to send to it as you get low on your LT. I'll talk about that when I talk about this with all of you. I'm not going to talk about that right now, but it's all been thought about and continues to be. But you have the choice of taking out a loan against your block. That way you continue to hold on to your Bitcoin, right? If you feel like maybe in the bear market, as everyone hates Bitcoin and is selling Bitcoin, and Bitcoin's going to zero, that there's not going to be Bitcoin available for you to buy, then by all means, hold on to your Bitcoin. I don't believe that for a second. So there we are. And here we are. Listen, beautiful session. A lot was covered. We didn't make it to 1,000 likes, but that's okay. I'm going to actually spend the next 40 minutes making sure I'm prepared for the training session we got going on. The link will be sent out to those in the Conquering the Markets, posted on the Discord announcement channel, sent out by email. Look for it there. And if you're just joining us and you want to know how to get to the Discord, right? If you go to the second module, before you take any trades, you'll see the link to the Discord there, and you could get in for this live session. Otherwise, it's going to be emailed to you. Otherwise, when you do get onto Discord, you'll find it in the announcements channel, and you'll have that link for the replay. Everyone, we hit it 1,000. We hit, boom, 1K. Thank you for that. Thank you for that love. Everyone have a beautiful day. We do have time to go out with some music over here. Let's do that. An enormous, lots of love to the moderators who are just continuously pouring out their love. So grateful for each and every one of you. Have a beautiful day. I'll see you all in a little bit as we get ready to go with the Conquering the Markets, how to thrive in CTM, best practices for getting started to make sure that you are able to take full advantage of this amazingly outstanding program and community we offer. Have a beautiful day, everyone, and I'll talk to you later.